Hey, it's Darren Russell here. Welcome back to another episode of the Lion Zero Show. In this episode, I'm joined by Tim Soulo, and we're discussing all things Ahrefs. So if you want to learn how Tim has impacted Ahrefs, how the different metrics and tools work, what cool features you have in the works, and all sorts of things like this, it's a great episode for any SEO nerds, especially people that are using or interested in using Ahrefs, right? So I highly recommend you watch this. A lot of cool nuggets in here and a lot of things that you can just take away from it, right? So let's just jump straight into it. Enjoy the episode. Tim, thank you for joining me on the show today. It's great to have you here.
Sure, thanks for inviting me.
So for like the two people that don't know who you are in our community, do you want to introduce who you are and like what it is that you do?
My name is Tim. I'm head of marketing at Ahrefs, and yeah, I'm hoping that at least one of these two people who don't know me at least knows what is Ahrefs. Yeah, and basically here I'm officially head of marketing, but because we're kind of a 40 people operation right now, everyone tries to do as much as they can. So I also do hiring. I also do a lot of like product strategy, brainstorming features, and all that stuff. Even a bit of social media, like tweeting some stuff from our official account and such. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. How long have you been with Ahrefs? How do you pronounce it, by the way? That's a better question. It happens all the time.
This is a great question, and the way we like to pronounce it here is Ahrefs.
Ahrefs, okay.
Yeah, but I think that the correct one would be Ahrefs, like the way you spell it. But we call it Ahrefs, and in all our videos we use Ahrefs, and we try to teach people to do it this way. Yeah. Gotcha. And I've been with Ahrefs for I think somewhere right now it would be 3 years.
Okay. Did you have an SEO background before that?
Yeah, but I was never kind of hardcore SEO. So I worked for a bunch of different companies as kind of a general marketer. So I did a bunch of everything, a bunch of SEO, a bunch of content marketing, a bunch of copywriting, conversion optimization, like everything. When you're the only person in the marketing team, you need to learn to do a bit of everything. So yeah, this was my background. Yeah, and I was also launching a few side projects, which also gave me a ton of different experience in all sorts of areas.
How did you get into like working with Ahrefs then?
Yeah, this is an interesting story. So basically, like I said, I was working, I was having a full-time job. Even at some point, I had 3 full-time jobs. And basically, what I hated the most about my jobs is that always someone had to tell me what to do. And I hate when someone tells me what to do because I always have like quite a bunch of ideas on my own. So pretty much as a lot of other people, I started doing projects on the side where no one would tell me what to do, and I was kind of in charge of everything. And one of such projects was a personal blog, bloggerjet.com, where I also launched a few WordPress plugins, and I also 3 years ago I also tried to launch a tool similar to BuzzSumo, even without knowing that BuzzSumo existed. So I teamed up with my friend who was a developer, and basically we were pulling the RSS feed of a blog, and then for all URLs found in RSS feed, we were pulling all the social metrics from all the social networks. So basically the tool was called Strip the Blog, and kind of in a BuzzSumo way it helped you analyze like which articles went viral and all that stuff. And so when I was doing some promotion, I don't remember if it was for this tool or for WordPress plugins or for one of the articles on my blog, I basically was doing a lot of outreach, and I reached out to Ahrefs, and because I knew that they're from Ukraine, and I was from Ukraine, I
How long ago was this?
3 years ago.
3 years
ago, yeah. So I sent them quite a warm personal email, like, hey guys, I know that you're from Ukraine, I'm from Ukraine too, like blah blah blah. So I had this and this. Can you please like include me in your article, something like this? And basically, the person that replied to my email was Dmitry, our CEO and founder, and he started from hiring me to write a bunch of articles for Ahrefs. But things escalated quite quickly because I was telling him, how about that? Like, you have a terrible copy on your homepage. You're liking this feature, you're liking that. This is wrong, this is wrong. And Dmitry was actually quite receptive to feedback. So it wasn't just like some stupid guy was telling him how to run his business or anything like this. And so basically, I think within like a month from us like communicating by email or Slack, he invited me to Singapore to be in charge of marketing, and that's pretty much the story.
That's awesome. How much has Ahrefs grown? Ahrefs, how much has it grown in the last like 3 years since you joined?
Yeah, it has grown pretty well. I don't have the exact numbers for 3 years, but I shared an article on Medium where I shared that the year 2016 we grew 85%,
Wow.
and last year 2017 we grew 65%. So for an 8-figure
awesome.
business, we're not disclosing yet the number of customers that we have and the kind of annual revenue, but we might do this at the end of this year. But yeah, we're 8-figure business, and for 8-figure business to grow 85% and then 65%, this is quite significant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. What is the coolest fin that you personally worked on for Ahrefs?
Well, I've personally touched almost anything. So right now, all the copy that you see on the website was written by me. I enjoyed a lot of features that I added to Content Explorer. For example, highlight and link domains where you can use Content Explorer for prospecting, and you can create a list of articles and then filter out those where websites are not linking to you. This was one of my favorite features because a lot of features that I was adding personally to Ahrefs were driven by my personal needs. So when we were working something with our team and I had an issue like filtering something or getting some information, I was requesting this from the team, and we quite quickly added some new features. But I still think that, again, one of the tools that I worked almost entirely alone was Rank Tracker. Well, with the help of our amazing designers who are also great specialists in UI UX. But yeah, the kind of the features I was suggesting, and the tool that I didn't invest almost any of my time was Site Audit, because it's quite technical tool, and most of the functionality of Site Audit is generally like on the surface, so there was nothing much to add like something unique there. Right now we had covered the basic functionality, and from there we'll be thinking of unique features that no one else has. Yeah, but I can't even tell because I've touched like almost anything.
That's cool.
Yeah, even the blog illustrations, like all those. I'm not sure if you've seen our illustrations, but basically, whenever we need to design a custom illustration for the article, this scenario of the illustration, like what happens on the image, is always on me. So I cannot outsource it to anyone because I don't know. Sometimes I get great ideas from our team, but I'd say that 80% of these illustrations are like my imagination.
That's awesome. On a personal level, how do you bounce around between like 50 different parts of the business and work on all these different things?
Yeah, this is quite chaotic, I would say. So basically, at any point in time, I try to pick the thing that needs my attention the most.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't think I'm like super good at productivity or management or all that stuff. Even like with building teams, like I don't really like to manage stuff, because when you hire people and you need to like check what they're doing, you need to train them, you need to help them with their issues, like you have to manage all day, and this is boring because you're not doing some actual work yourself. You're not creating anything. You're just helping other people do something, and I hate that. So when I'm hiring people, I try to hire people who can actually self-sustainable, who can do things on their own, and who only need my help like with some like complex stuff where they would need my opinion or my advice or anything like that. A great example is Joshua. Right now he's our blog editor, so he writes amazing articles, and I don't have to like read every word of his articles and suggest him what should be added. So his content is stellar, and I'm super happy that we've kind of officially hired him a few months ago, and I'm super happy. Yeah, these kinds of guys, they don't need management, and I'm happy that they give me time to work on my own stuff. Other than try to help them work on theirs.
That's awesome. Here's an interesting question. What is some like unique features or things that Ahrefs do, Ahrefs, I always say it wrong, that a lot of people don't know about? Like, what are some cool features that that aren't very popular, people don't really know that much about?
There are a ton of features that are pretty cool, but people don't know about it. For example, just recently, we released a video, again, with our new guy who we hired to do some video tutorials for us.
Okay.
Sam. So he recorded a video with a few hacks that can be done with Content Explorer. Because Content Explorer is a unique tool in itself, because it brings together the database of content that we crawl and collect from all over the web. It is quite big. I don't remember exactly how big it is, but for every article, for every page that we have in Content Explorer, we have the number of referring domains, we have the DR of the website that is hosting that page, and we have search traffic. So basically, you can put any keyword, and Content Explorer will give you all articles that mention this keyword from all around the web. And then you can set DR filter, the referring domains, to 0, and you'll see articles that mention this keyword and they don't have any backlinks. And finally, you can filter by the search traffic, and you'll see articles that mention a specific keyword. They don't have backlinks, but they get search traffic. So if you're doing guest blogging or if you're doing link prospecting, this is a gold mine of information, because if people mention this keyword, it means they're interested in this topic. And this means that you can somehow get a link from them. If you're doing outreach, just reach out and say, hey, you mentioned this, I have a great resource. Or if you're doing guest blogging, you can just say, I see you have a blog and you write about this, so will you accept my guest article? And many people don't know it, and I think I first explained this kind of hack half a year ago. I published it in our Facebook community, and people were like blown away. And now we released it kind of officially on our YouTube channel, and people were blown away again.
That's awesome.
So
I didn't even know that.
Many people still don't know. And actually, when I was at Chiang Mai at this conference, a few people were telling me about this hack that they were actively using and getting a lot of results with.
That's awesome. Is there any other cool ones that you can think of off the top of your head?
Another one that I personally enjoyed is when you see a kind of startup or a company that you want to research, and usually when you launch a company, the first like few months or the first year are quite challenging to get publicity, to get mentions. So what you can do is you can go to Ahrefs new links report, and you can use the date picker to go back in time and see where they were getting backlinks like back in the days. So we build this graph. So on the graph you can see like where there were the first spikes, and then you can use the kind of calendar, the date picker, to go back in time and see which websites were linking to them, which is quite cool. For example, the other day I was reading the article, I think about Slack. And I was wondering how did they get like such traction so fast. And then when I went back in time and I saw that TechCrunch was linking to them and some other big publications were linking to them, it appeared that Slack, I think one of the co-founders or something, previously launched a few other successful startups, and this is why he was getting press like this. Just the headlines were saying the founder of this launched a new startup, so they were getting press. So yeah, this is a pretty cool hack if you want to research some company, how they started, where they were getting press. It's pretty cool to go back in time and see which websites were linking to them and like what were the articles, what were the mentions.
It's really, really cool. It's awesome. What are some big features that you're working on right now, if you can share any?
Right now, a lot of resources are being invested into that site audit tool.
Okay.
Because we had to rebuild it from scratch, and we're not just building like another site audit tool. Even though we're kind of all-in-one tool set, with every individual tool we have, we try to compete with the big guys. So in terms of site audit, we try to compete with a tool like DeepCrawl, which I think are regarded like the leaders of cloud crawling. Because if we take the kind of desktop crawling, it would be, of course, Screaming Frog. In terms of cloud-based, I think it would be DeepCrawl right now. So yeah, we're investing a lot of effort there to create an awesome tool. And then a lot of work actually happens at the back end. because we need to crawl all this data, we need to process all this data. And actually we have like different databases that we need to sync, because people ask, like, you have this top pages report where you give like the traffic numbers for all the pages of a website. Why don't you add the referring domains column there? And this is the exact question that I asked our backend team. Hey guys, why don't we add the referring domains column to the same report that shows the traffic of all pages? And they said it's simple. We have these numbers in different databases, and to pull it in real time, it requires a lot of effort. So we had to do kind of a hack. We had to cache the numbers of referring domains into this other database. So, and it's about this all the time. Whenever we want to add some feature, there are usually, like, even this super simple feature that seems like a no-brainer, it requires some special technical investment. So yeah, a lot of stuff happens on the back end. We're rebuilding our database, we're improving our crawlers, we're adding more servers. Actually, I'm not even kind of the best person to talk about it, because I don't know the hell about all this. It's all on our founder. He's super technical and super smart guy, and he's very hands-off. So usually when you think of CEO of some company, you think of a person who all that he does is attend like some business meetings, maybe goes to conferences and stuff. But our founder is like super technical. He actually does stand-ups all the time with the backend department. So he's basically managing everything that happens there.
That's awesome. Could we talk about some like technical things? Like you mentioned, like estimating like the traffic that each page gets in like a SERP. How do you guys calculate that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so that's basically kind of reverse engineering where the page ranks for. So we have a database of keywords, which again we have to update every month, because if new search queries will pop and people won't see them in Ahrefs, they will get upset. Like, how the hell don't you have Pokemon Go in Ahrefs while it is a trend for like the last few months? Yeah, so we have to constantly update this database, and then we need to pull rankings for all these keywords. And I think these are like 500,000 of keywords. I don't remember. We have this page, ahrefs.com/big-data, and we publish all our numbers there, so you can check how big are the databases. So basically, we have this database of keywords. We kind of check in Google who is ranking at the top 100 positions. And then we also know the search volume of each keyword. And then we also know the CTR curve of each individual keyword, because we use clickstream. So for every keyword, we know if like 40% of people will click on the first result, or 30%, or 10%. Because usually, as far as I know, the tools that estimate traffic, they will use the standard CTR percentage for all their keywords. Okay. In our case, we use unique one. And so then we reverse engineer. So we take the URL and we pull all the keywords for which we've seen this URL, and the positions, and the CTR curve, and the search volume of that keyword, and then we calculate the total traffic that should be coming to this page. But again, because our database of search queries is, of course, not covering all the keywords, all the search queries that exist in Google, especially considering that 10 or 20% of search queries that people enter to Google every day are new, kind of never seen before. So people always say, like, why do you underestimate traffic? Because there's no way to accurately estimate it, because so many search queries are new, they were not seen before, so we didn't have a chance yet to pull them into our database and to estimate the full traffic. Yeah, so that's basically the raw idea of how it happens, and I think it's pretty standard for all tools of that kind. But yeah, it largely depends on the size of the database, how many search queries you're checking in Google for positions. It depends how often you do it, because if you have like, I don't know, 500 million keywords, to pull positions for all of them every day, it's quite hard. So the keywords with higher search volume will be checked more frequently. The longer tail keywords, like that get like 50 searches per month, we'll check them like once in a month or once in 2 months. I don't really remember. Yeah, okay. So when you look at the reports, you have to factor these things in.
And you mentioned clickstream. For anyone that doesn't know what that is, do you want to like briefly explain it?
Yeah, so clickstream is an amazing source of data. That's basically saving the SEO industry right now. I think, yeah. So basically, the Google Keyword Planner, they have started to take the data away from SEO professionals. So, for example, if you put any keyword idea into Google Keyword Planner, they will give you, I think it's now 700 keyword ideas for any keyword that you put in.
Okay.
And they also don't show you the exact search volume. They show you ranges, unless you do advertising, basically pay them money. And also with not provided, they were taking keyword data away, so they're not super interested for SEO professionals to know like what people are searching for in Google. And clickstream is the data that comes kind of from users themselves. So a lot of applications that you install on your computer and specifically in your browser, in their terms, they say something like, you allow us to kind of collect anonymized data and resell it to third parties. And so there are companies that sign deals with all sorts of, I don't know, applications, plugins in Chrome, in Firefox and such. And they buy this data from these plugins who collect this data from other people. They anonymize it, of course. There's no personal data, so nothing to worry about. And then they resell this data to other companies, like Ahrefs, for example. Okay. One of the most popular companies that collects clickstream data is SimilarWeb. This is where they get their traffic predictions. So they basically buy this clickstream data from all sources they can. I think I saw a presentation with one of their founders who was saying that they even buy this from directly from ISPs. So internet service providers resell data on their users to other companies. But again, I will mention so that people won't get too offended by this. This is all anonymized, so there's no threat in it. This data is cool for marketing purposes only, so no one knows like who is browsing what.
Okay. Here's another question about Ahrefs keyword difficulty. A lot of people always ask me about this, like, is it the best way to measure a keyword stuff? How does that work?
Yeah, right now our keyword difficulty is solely based on the number of referring domains to the top 10 pages in the search results. And of course, a lot of people are saying, okay, you have to also factor the kind of domain authority of a domain. You also have to factor, I don't know, the age of the domain. You also have to factor in like the relevancy of the pages, blah, blah, blah. So the list goes on and on. But then, I actually did a small experiment. So I took like 5 different keywords. I sent them to a few of my SEO friends, and I asked them to kind of give their kind of keyword difficulty scores, like what they think about these keywords. And the scores were different. So each person who is looking at the keyword difficulty, they are benchmarking it against their own, like what they think this keyword should be. But if you're benchmarking your keyword, if you're benchmarking keyword difficulty against your own, I don't know, gut feeling, why don't you just use your gut feeling and not use keyword difficulty? So yeah, there's no way to make a keyword difficulty, no matter how how advanced we go with factoring in different metrics. There's no way to create a keyword difficulty that would satisfy everyone. Again, the more metrics we add, because we have a cached keyword difficulty for many millions of keywords. So basically, you can type any keyword into Keywords Explorer, will give you, I don't know, 100,000 keyword ideas, and then you can filter through 100,000 keyword ideas with keyword difficulty metric on the fly. It's not that some tools where you need to click a button like pull keyword difficulty and then it would calculate it. We have it on the fly, and the more complexity we add, the higher would be the cost to calculate this metric. But then again, we can ramp up the costs and then ramp up the price of Ahrefs subscription, and no one would pay it, and people will still blame us for not including this and that. So we chose a pretty simple way to calculate the number of referring domains, because let's face it, when SEO professionals are looking at the search results for a given keyword, the first thing they look at is how many backlinks they have. And the second thing is, of course, the quality of search results, the relevance, and all that stuff.
No, I think you're right. The first thing, if I'm going to check a keyword, is the number of referring domains each of the pages have, for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and again, we don't promote our keyword difficulty like some snake oil or something like this. Everywhere we say that it is a proxy to how many referring domains the top 10 ranking pages have. We don't sell it like this is an ultimate like metric that you should always consider, blah blah blah. We say that it is cool for filtering a large list of keywords, but of course it's not reliable because there are so many other factors in place. And as the SEO industry already knows, when you're ranking in top 10, a lot of other factors kick in, like behavioral factors, like if people will click back from your result, how long they stay on the page, and blah blah blah. So yeah, there's no way to capture everything in like a single 2-digit metric.
Here's an interesting question, because we're kind of discussing this in Chiang Mai. How do you think Google are like you mentioned like user metrics, like how long people spend on the page, the bounce rate and stuff like that. How do you think that data is being collected and measured on like a keyword level?
Well, first of all, we don't know this for sure.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, this is just, I think this is a general feeling in the industry. Everyone is doing some SEO work, and everyone has different pages, different websites. And when you work on these factors that you can control, then you start looking at the factors that you kind of cannot control or didn't tweak. And usually, for example, for us at Ahrefs blog, we know like how many backlinks we have, we know the quality of our content, but we don't really know like what people do, and we can only imagine like how people look at other articles compared to ours. So we tweak some things and see if rankings go up or go down. So this gives us a feeling that something behavioral is in place. How Google would measure it, I think because they have Chrome, they could be using this. I don't think they would use Google Analytics. To be honest, I won't even give you an answer to this because I just think that any answer that I will give would be wrong. So let's say I don't know, but I think that I personally have a feeling that there's something in place based on my experience ranking websites. And from my conversations with other people, a lot of people are feeling this way too.
Okay, interesting. Here's another thing I'm curious about. How did, like you mentioned the story before, how did Ahrefs start off?
This is an amazing story. It would be cool if Dmitry would be presenting it, but he's not a very big fan of doing interviews and such. So basically, Dmitry wanted to build some kind of search engine for PDF files or something like this. I don't remember. But he needed a big export from Majestic database. I'm not sure what kind of expert he needed because he told me this story like 3 years ago, back when I was joining Ahrefs. But yeah, he needed a big data dump from Majestic, and he emailed them and said, like, hey guys, I need this and this and this. Could you do a custom data export for me? And they said something like, yes, sure, like give us $10,000 or something like this. And Dmitry was basically a guy from Ukraine, where the cost of development are cheap, and the brains of Ukrainian developers are pretty sharp. So he thought, like, for this kind of money, I can build my own web crawler, which he basically did. Yeah. So I think if Majestic simply gave him this data for free back in the days, they would be doing a lot better right now.
That's a very awesome story.
Yeah, this is an amazing story. You never know like where the competition will come from.
That's so true. Cool. In terms of like just straight up bragging, what makes Ahrefs better than the other tools? You don't have to name any specific tools or anything like that, but what makes it better? Yeah,
I would just say that the thing that makes it better is that Dmitry, our founder, I think he's the most hands-on CEO among all the tools of this sort, because like I said, he's basically in and he's in the backend, so he knows how the crawling happens. He personally like buys all these servers. He personally like builds some algorithms for like data processing, for clickstream and such and such and such. So I think the edge of Ahrefs is in the technology. We are always advancing, and it's mostly a backend technology, but even now we're trying to put our front end on some new rails, and it all comes from Dmitry. We also have a CTO who's also an amazing guy, like super smart, but I think when founder himself is so deeply technical, then the tool would have like a strong competitive edge from the technical perspective. Yeah, you can also see that we're not doing as much marketing as the other guys. For example, SEMrush, they have like what 400 people in their team or something like this. So we're like 10 times smaller than SEMrush, and we don't go to every conference. We don't work with like every influencer. We don't have resources like to do everything. They do a lot of marketing. We cannot afford this. Same with Moz. They have a blog that was running for like I learned SEO from Moz blog basically. So they have a huge audience. They have huge reach. They have a lot of content. We cannot compete with such things. So we're trying to compete in the quality of our data and the quality of our tools. And I wrote another article at Medium about the comparison test. So basically what we're trying to do is win the comparison test, because in today's world, it is so easy to learn about the alternatives. As soon as you start using something, like let's say you start using an Android, you learn about iPhone. You start using like PS4, you learn about Xbox. So you learn about alternatives super quick. So what we think is that when people learn about tools like Moz, SEMrush, Majestic, who have been around for a very long time, they will also inevitably learn about Ahrefs. And then all we need to do is win the comparison test, because people are always looking for a better thing to use, for a better spend of their money. So if they log into SEMrush and if they log into Ahrefs and they play around with reports, they play around with the data, they see how much insights and data they can get, we try to win this test. And I think this is our biggest driver of growth. So basically we're kind of drifting behind the big guys. They do all the marketing, they do all the education, and we just try to win the comparison test.
It is awesome. I know from my experience, like running like a pretty big SEO community, I guess, on Facebook, like a lot of people now I see are switching over to Ahrefs. Like in the last, I'll say year or so, it's been a massive transition.
Yeah. You see, no marketing could do that. That's not marketing. That's purely product.
Absolutely.
It's purely product. You can. There was a nice saying. I wish I could remember it. It's like something. You can fool a small amount of people for a long time, or you can fool a large amount of people for a short time, but you cannot fool a large amount of people for a long time. So this is like what happens. Yeah, we cannot fool a lot of people for a long time. It's just comparison test.
So what do you believe is the primary reasons for like the growth of like, remember you said like 60-something% in a year, and the year before like 80%, I think you said.
Yeah, I think it's just people use Ahrefs, they get a lot of value, and because again we are social beings, we are social creatures. So whenever we learn something cool, we want to share it with others, because by helping others you get some, how is it said, social currency or something. And so people naturally want to tell about cool things to other people. So when Ahrefs will impress the customer with our data, with how much results they can get, with how much insight they can get about like their competitor's website, about their own website, people just naturally tend to share. And like you just said, whenever conversation starts about like which tool should I use, which tool is better, somehow our users are the most vocal. I don't know, maybe some marketing is also in place here, the way we kind of present ourselves, the way we do content, the way we try to maintain quality in everything we do. But what I'm seeing is that maybe the other guys have more customers than we do, but our customers are surely the most vocal. Maybe it's because of the pure quality of the product, maybe it's because we do something right in terms of marketing, maybe it's both. But I think that the larger part is the product itself.
For sure, I'd say it's almost like at least from what I noticed, the influencers in the SEO space all recommend Ahrefs, and then everyone else almost just kind of follows along as like copies what they use, and because they're using it, they vocalize it as well.
Yeah, and I can say that we don't even do any kind of influencer marketing. I kind of communicate with a few people now and then, but we don't have any kind of influencer program. Well, I think you could feel it yourself. So I didn't try to like bribe you to use Ahrefs. I just gave you the tool, play with it, tell me what you think, like, and I wasn't following up with you all the time, like what you think, can you write about us or anything like this. It's just all natural. If there's a connection, yeah, we would talk with you, we would communicate, answer each other's questions. If not, no, we don't have kind of an influencer program.
That's cool. How do you guys, like, you've got a very small team, like 40 people you said, give or take, versus like 400. How do you manage all your customers and everything without been screwing up or whatever?
Yeah, this is a challenge. For example, for our support team, the primary objective, the primary goal of support team is to reduce the amount of support queries. So it's not that we have, it's not that we hire people who would just answer to queries in chat. We hire people who would give feedback to all the other people in the team. Like, if people are constantly asking the same question, then we need to change something about the interface. Then we need to change something about the copy on our website. We need to change something about our emails and blah, 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 blah. So we try to look for patterns and we try to fix them so that we won't have to grow. And also, we don't have any sales team. So we don't have to pitch customers by Skype or phone or anything like this. So yeah, we kind of quite successful for now at staying relatively small, and we'd like to keep it this way. I think after Dmitry counted how many people we have, he said that he is going to set a hard threshold of 50, and so we won't grow below above 50.
Fair enough. You guys are based in Singapore, right?
Yeah, the headquarters are in Singapore. We also have small office in San Francisco, and the rest of the guys are kind of contractors, freelance, who working from different parts of the world.
Okay, so if you guys don't have salespeople, what positions do you have?
No, not a single salesperson. And even like I said, in terms of positions, they're quite blurred.
Okay.
So everyone is trying to work on everything they can. For example, support people also help me with some marketing tasks.
Okay.
Our two designers, they also act like product managers, so they actually try to understand the product and not just draw whatever like we tell them. And I think that's pretty much. And they have a small marketing team who are mostly outsourced. For example, Josh is in the UK. The guy who handles the content on our blog. The new guy that is doing videos for us, Sam, he's in Canada, I believe. Everyone is in different places. And again, like I said, it would be hard to manage because different time zones, like you have to schedule these meetings. We don't even have meetings. I just try to hire people who would be self-sustainable so that I wouldn't control every step.
Okay, so what's your management style then? You just like message them like, hey, can you work on this, and just kind of leave them to it, or?
We have Slack, pretty much like I think every company right now. So whenever some quick question will pop, we'll just communicate in Slack. But generally, I just use email, and usually the kind of goals that I set to each person are quite straightforward. So I think it somehow manages itself. Like I said, I'm not like super cool at management. I actually hate management. I love creating things. So I try to put management on the people themselves and see how people would manage themselves. And I would just help them to kind of refine their priorities and refine their goals. That's it.
That's great. What is like maybe big top 3 things you've learned over the last 3 years? Definitely putting on the spot there.
the one that first pops in my head is that anything can get you in trouble. This is quite fun, and like when you get reach, when you get a large enough audience, anything can get you in trouble. For example, when I posted an ad for finding like people to write for our blog, I said I need native English speakers, because at the time we didn't have, I think, a single native English speaker in the entire Ahrefs like team, not a single native English speaker.
Wow.
So I used the term native English speaker, and people on Reddit, Big SEO channel, they started saying that I'm kind of being racist, and they should say fluent English speaker. So this thing got me in trouble. Then we also once published an article that had an illustration of shaman going in circles around the computer with a website, kind of trying to do SEO in shaman style. And then we had a little backslash from Native Americans who said that we're making fun of them. So we had to redraw the illustration to make the shaman not look like a shaman. Yeah, we had quite a few of these things, and I just learned that you have to be super careful with everything you say, with everything.
But I guess also people will be people. There's always someone that's going to complain about something.
Yes, it always happens, but still you have to, like, being in charge of marketing, you have to kind of keep an eye on such things and not let them happen. The second thing that I learned, probably it is that you have to start doing everything yourself if you want to make sure that someone will do a quality work. You have to start doing it yourself. For example, with the Ahrefs blog, when I just joined Ahrefs 3 years ago, I wasn't even sure that blog would be a good channel for customer acquisition. Because back in the days, like, no one was reading Ahrefs blog, no one even knew that Ahrefs had a blog. So something terrible was happening there. And I wasn't even sure that I have to spend time on our blog because there was so much work on the tools, on the pricing, on the copy of the pages, blah, blah, blah. But still somehow I managed to slowly, like, act one step at a time, improve this, improve that, hire a better writer, hire a better writer. And then right now blog is actually a good source of customers, of exposure, of backlinks, of education, of everything. But I wouldn't know it if I would just hire someone to run our blog and assign it to them. So I need to know, like, I need to do everything myself, and I need to know what works and what doesn't. The same with our Facebook group. When I started our Facebook group, I didn't know, like, what would be the kind of the positive thing about it. What I can get out of the Facebook group. But then as it started growing and I was coming up with, like, new ways we could use it, like to find beta testers, to find people who would translate our interface, to do some contests, to get support from people, I realized that this is a great channel. But if I just had, like, some social media guy and the social media guy would tell me, we need to launch Facebook group, I would just say, no, I don't see, like, the purpose in it. So yeah, I think it is cool when you start doing everything yourself, and then once you dig into it, you will assign it to a person, and you will then help them to grow it even more than you did.
I like that.
And in terms of third thing, that's a tough one. Let's leave it as 2.
2 works. Okay. 2 works. How do you? Like, when you joined Ahrefs initially, there's a whole bunch of things you do. You said you ended up doing a blog, which is a great idea in hindsight. How do you kind of prioritize all these different things and decide what to go into, what's not worth it? Like, you haven't done influencer marketing, you're not really huge on going to events and sponsoring stuff and things like that. How do you decide what to do and what not to do?
Basically by doing it. Doing it. So I cannot say that every decision was the right one. For example, in a few months after I joined Ahrefs, I went to PubCon in Vegas to hang out there, and basically my goal was to see if there would be any point of, like, being at this event. And at that point, I thought that there's no reason for Ahrefs to be there. Okay. There's no reason for us to sponsor events because we have, like, better things to do, blah blah blah. Right now I don't feel this way. Right now, we want to start tapping into conferences, participating in them, sponsoring them, and all that sort. But basically, I just started doing a bit of everything. I started connecting with influencers, and I saw, like, what was the outcome compared to the amount of effort that I was putting in. And then I figured out if I want to do it, if I want to do more of it. So yeah, basically I tried everything. We also tried, here's the fun story, maybe we could add it as the third takeaway that I've learned at Ahrefs. Basically, there's all this hype about, like, conversion funnels, like sales funnels, how to convert people, like onboarding sequence, blah, blah, blah. So we installed three different analytics systems. I think Kissmetrics, Woopra, Mixpanel, maybe there was even something else. And all three of these platforms were getting the same data. And we have configured the same funnel in all these analytics systems. So how many people enter our homepage? How many people click on the start trial button? How many people fill their information, get notification email, confirm your email? How many people end up registering their account? And what we saw is that each one of these three platforms showed us different numbers.
It sounds about
so
right.
So we realized, like, how can you care about like optimizing your funnel for like 1 or 2% if all these analytics platforms are different by 1 or 3% like at the start? Like, what's the point? And then we also realized that the time that we spent on like doing some A/B tests, for example, when you start designing a new tool, a new feature, or even a new landing page, and start discussing with the rest of the team, it somehow appears that there are like 2 or 3 amazing ideas, and you cannot decide which idea is more amazing than others. And so eventually someone will often say, let's do an A/B test. To which we say, no, we don't spend time on A/B tests. Let's pick like whatever feels right, because the time that we spend on doing A/B tests, on configuring everything, could be actually spent on writing a better article, or creating a better tool, or adding some more data, or refining our help section. So yeah, we don't do any A/B tests. We don't have kind of setup of tracking every single click that people do in our platform.
Fair enough, fair enough. Cool, okay, 2 final questions then. We'll wrap it up.
Okay.
Number 1, what is something that people don't know about you personally? That most people don't know.
I've seen someone on Facebook was telling you to ask a question about my profile picture with the fists.
Yep.
So maybe that's something that people don't know about me, is that I was training MMA, mixed martial arts, for like 4 years, I think. I wasn't professional, even close to professional, but I was quite consistent, and I had personal trainer. So I guess this is where the profile picture is coming from. But in all honesty, I was just having fun in front of the camera, and then I thought that if I want a memorable profile picture, I need to use this, because I didn't see anyone else like with their fists on the profile picture, and I think that
it's different for sure.
Yeah. I think it's quite eye-catchy, and people memorize it. Yeah, definitely. So that's something I think people don't know about me. Maybe they also don't know that Tim Soulo is not my real name, because really? I was born in Ukraine, and we have a quite lengthy names which are hard to pronounce for anyone outside of Ukraine or Russia. So I had to use my pen name. But in our industry, to be fair, a lot of people use pen names.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah, even Rand Fishkin, as far as I know, maybe I am terribly wrong here, but I think Fishkin is not his last name. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm using the real name.
Okay.
Cool, man. Final question is just like, where can people find you if they want to reach out, connect, or anything like that?
Thanks for the question. I have prepared the page for this. It's ahrefs.com/tim, T-I-M. There's like everything that I want people to know about me. Everything is on that page. There are a couple of articles that I think are the best ones. There are links to my social channels, a couple research studies that we did at Ahrefs. So yeah, I highly recommend to check out this page because there's some cool information there.
Awesome. I appreciate you joining me, Tim. It's been really awesome.
Sure. Thanks a lot for inviting.
All right, man. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and I'll catch you next week. Alright guys, so let me know what you think of the episode in the comment section below. I'm super excited to see your feedback, and of course, if you want to see more content just like this, hit the subscribe button below, and we have interviews coming out every week that we put out, similar to this with different SEOs and business owners and whatnot, similar to basically what you need to know to scale your SEO business. Aside from that, if you want more of an advanced trader, check out scientificranking.com, which is where we share all our ranking processes, how we get clients, how we build up agencies, and all that sort of stuff, alright? So that's about it for this episode. I hope you got some nuggets out of it, and I'll see you next week.